I'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity with Legacy Partners. And we're going through today on the podcast about recruiting. Recruiting is really selling, is what it is. It really is. And so when we say recruiting, what are we talking about? Well, it could be for employees. It could be recruiting for working with us. It could be like today, we're going to be specifically talking about recruiting a driver within the Amish community to drive Amish around to job sites and bids and all that kind of stuff. But it could be recruiting of referral partners or distributors or, Kenny's working on a project on where he's got, like, it could be recruiting of wholesalers or retails. And so Luke, has a client that's a wholesale. So retail is where you sell to the consumer, directly to the consumer. Wholesale sell, in this situation, furniture that then, then the retail places go ahead and sell to, the local constituents. You're going to have wholesalers that are retail tailors and all that kind of stuff. So it's essentially recruiting is just selling. It's getting other people. Could be recruiting for other LPs, other legacy partners. If you make, 10% on people, you could go based on you recruit them, train them, develop them, oversee, partner with them. If you make 10%, it takes 5 of the people or 10 of the people to go ahead and make as much money on, working with other people. So you're learning how to help other people make money. You take a portion of that. So you can double your income with no additional work, all, long term. Like you're developing other people. So recruiting, I realized when I was in my early 20s, that's where it's at. Recruit and develop people. So when you look at this, and you guys can interrupt me at any time, for sure. And so when you're looking at it, it's the 530 grid. And so what you're doing, is you're looking and saying, okay, I need to go ahead and get people who are interested. In this situation, Luke is recruiting, somebody to do his driving. He's Amish, and so he needs somebody to drive him to bids. He needs somebody to drive him to work sites. He needs somebody. So he needs to go ahead and he needs to get people who are interested in doing that. So that's identifying the target. Well, it's like fishing, right? Like, what kind of fish do you want to go ahead? So Luke has an avatar, what's called an avatar, somebody in his mind that he thinks is the ideal person that would be driving him around. Now, he might be right, he might be wrong, but once you get the avatar, once he gets the avatar, where do these kind of people hang out? Well, so he thinks about where do the fish that you want to catch, where do they go ahead? Where can you find them swimming around? So that's where identify targets. Who's your ideal person you're trying to recruit? Then you got to develop and deliver a message. That's the bait. What's the question? What's the bait? What's the question? What's the story that's going to draw them in? Tom Kuntz, past president of Century 21, largest real estate franchise in the world. They brought in some high-paid, really skilled psychologist and for recruiting, and went ahead and said to him, how do we recruit? And he said, who's your ideal, your best recruit, your best agent? Take them out to breakfast, put a recording on the table and say, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to record your answer. And they're like, okay, so give them breakfast or lunch or whatever, coffee. And then ask them this question: why do you love working for Century 21? Now, this can work with a client. This can work with recruiting. It can work with anybody. And so then Tom said, the psychologist said, record that and then translate that, into what it is. Like, even if it's poor grammar, the guy said, even if it's poor grammar, you take exactly and say, are you looking for ... And then put exactly what that person said, why they loved working with you. Now, if you don't have anybody, like Luke doesn't have a driver at this point, you want to get in that person's head. They like flexibility. They like mentoring young guys. They like being active. They like the people side. They like connecting. Like, what is that ideal person? It's having empathy, for what that is. And so Luke come up with an ad. So Luke's come up with an ad, and the ad goes in, a local publication that's very popular in the community. And so are you an individual seeking an invigorating way to stay involved and active in retirement? We're seeking someone who shares our desire to contribute positively to the world. At Amish Entrepreneurs, we're in search of chauffeurs to join us in making a difference in people's lives. If you are intrigued by this opportunity, please give Kenny a call at 260-214-4532. Okay. To me, that's a really good ad. I mean, I'm like, that's solid. I wouldn't change anything. That doesn't mean it's going to work. It just means I think it's really good. Could be wrong. And so
Mark, if you were interested in something like that, you would see that ad. Would you respond to it?
I would not know. But that's not really, you're not going after somebody like me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not really probably the best question you mean Mark? Now, if I was somebody who was looking for something to do, I didn't have purpose in my life or didn't have intention, and I'm kind of, like, wow, I have nothing else to do. I really like to. I think the type of person that you're looking for, I think they would respond to it. But do you have anybody that you know and you could go ahead and run it by and ask them that's to, closer to the type of person that you're looking for?
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Gotcha. Yep.
Okay. So then we have these two. Okay. So identify targets. And so in the local publication, there's a lot of people that read this. And so Luke's got where he's going to go fishing. He's got the bait. Here's the bait. And then what he's going to do is he's going to start getting some nibbles. He's going to get some people that are going to call. He needs to track 100% of the leads. When we say 100%, what do we mean, Luke?
100%.
100%. It's not 99. Well, this person, so you got to get their phone, if they have an email, so you got to get their name, phone number, and email ideally. Now, how you get that is going to be really important. So it's like you've got to kind of seduce them, kind of draw them in and say, what was it? They call and they say, yeah, I'm calling about the ad for the chauffeur or whatever that is, for the driver. And so it's like, okay, so nice to meet you. My name's Kenny Bontrager, and, neat. Thank you for calling. I'm just curious, like, what is it in the ad that attracted you, that drew you in? So you gotta understand whoever's getting the calls, if they don't, they've got to pick that thing up fast. They've got to respond quickly. Ideally, they're there, and they answer the phone in a really pleasant, cool, fun, exciting way. So the person has a great first impression. And so, hey, this is Kenny Bontrager with Dreamscape Creation. Yeah, what can I do to help you? Or something, coming up with something that, like, I'm at a camp where Norman Miller works, and I'm telling you, there's people from all over the world here. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, yesterday I met, half a dozen people, and somebody's from Poland, somebody's from Australia, somebody's from London. It's from people, and they're all super friendly. Like, great to have you. I mean, they sit down, they talk to you. It's like the coolest place in the world. So, I asked Norman yesterday, do they just find people like that, or do they train them, or is it both? And he's like, well, it's both. So they kind of get outgoing, fun people who have high hospitality. And so they get those kind of people, but then they train them. It's really the hospitality. You want people that are fun because it's all about the experience. And so you want to make sure that when you're recruiting somebody that you have, that same type of thing. And so we have tracking 100% of the leads. We do that, and then we say, at some point, if you ask for their phone number, and you might already have it, because then what you're doing is trying to get their name. Who am I talking? Hey, you say some things, you talk to them. You got to be. It's like when you're dating a girl or want to date a girl. If she's not immediately attracted to you and going to say yes, it's like you can't ask the question too fast. Otherwise she'll say no, or you can't ask it too slow. You lose the opportunity. So it's kind of like dating. It's like, so you kind of get a feel for when you can ask for that information. How I try to do is get some flow, some rapport going, some, kind of they're laughing, I'm laughing, I'm connecting with them. And I say, I look for the opportunity where I can say, well, yeah, I can get you some more information. So if they ask, well, what's it about, or what's the company about? I say, hey, I can get you some information. I got your phone number here. Is this the best phone number? And then I repeat it. Yep, that's the best phone number, the one you called in. Great. And then say, if I've got that, if I don't, I ask them and say, what's the best phone number for you? And say, what's the best email? I'll email you some information about our company and the opportunity. What's the best email to go ahead and, to send something to you? And then once you do it, you repeat it back. You don't want to get the wrong phone number. You don't want to get the wrong email. Because if you get the wrong one, you're going to potentially lose an opportunity. I have identified targets, develop and deliver a message. Then I track 100% of the lead. I got to get that information. And then if you have leads from all different sources, how did you hear about us? So you got to get, now we have one ad, but you might have multiple ads coming in or multiple locations. Like there might be flyers to, school teachers, or there might be flyers to, bishops, within the church community. Then what you're doing is you're asking them questions. The first question I ask them right out the gate, what was it that attracted you, to this, to the ad? So that's going to tell me what it was that really created an interest, what it was that really created, something that was exciting, something that was interesting, something that you want. It's all about them. It's like a child, a toddler, a baby. It's all about them. And so when you start talking about them, that's people's most interesting topic, is themselves. It's asking a series of questions. It's asking a series of questions where you go ahead and how you ask it. What you're doing is and we'll do another podcast on this, but what you're doing is you're getting them to like you. We tend to like other people who are like us. We tend to fall in love with people who are opposite of us. So I'm going to try to get them to like me. So I'm going to model, if they're talking fast, I'll probably talk fast. If they're, interested in just getting to the bottom line. So, the different personalities, right? And so when you look at the personalities, when you look at the different personalities, the driver so if you go ahead and let me get that up here. So you can tell, what personality are they? If they're more aggressive, they're talking based on even how they say hello. These two people will tend to say hello really fast. These people will tend to say hello slower. So if they're, an amiable personality, they're going to be slower and they're going to be nicer. They might be shyer. They might feel a little intimidated. And so I'm going to slow down my pitch, my voice. I'm going to talk slower. I'm going to talk softer. Hey, so I'm going to mirror whatever their voice is what my voice is. Their pitch, my pitch. Their speed, my speed. I'm going to make sure my communication is in alignment with them. If they're an analytic, they're going to talk slower, but it's more methodical. Like you'll get a feeling that the amiable likes you. You won't necessarily get that feeling for the analytic because they're calling about a job. They have kind of a singular purpose, and that is they want information about the job. So I'm going to mirror them. If they're more assertive, they could be driver expressive. So if they're driver, they're more assertive and they're focused on the task. So you might not like the analytic. You might not get the feeling they like you. They might be aggressive and bottom line and fine, hey, this is what it is. So I'm going to mirror them. And then the expressive is going to be aggressive like the driver, but they're going to be fun or funny or cute. They're going to be laughing. They're going to be, so they're like the amiable too, where they're social people and they're more aggressive. So what you're doing is you're learning. It's just like the 30-minute strategy session. And so it's very similar to it. It's just slight tweaks. And so you go ahead and then you do the setup and say, well, what did you like about it? Tell me a little bit about yourself. Typically in recruiting, first question is, tell me a little bit about yourself. If they're Amish, they probably don't have a resume. English, maybe not. If they had a resume, I'd say, hey, tell me something that's not on your resume. So if they don't have a resume or I'm not sure, I might just tell me a little bit about yourself, something about your family, interests, hobbies, kids, anything. Now, if you're recruiting, you can't ask them certain questions, but I can ask them a series of questions. And typically the last question that you're asking, they're going to answer, but you want to get to know them. So that's another podcast that we'll talk about, legal implications of the questions and those types of, and being able to go through that. So what you're doing is tell me a little bit about yourself. So you're trying to get them to talk about themselves. So you can tell, like, what is it that they're looking for? So you're not interested in what you're looking for. You're interested in what they're looking for. What do they want? What's their motivation? So you want to, be a chauffeur, you want to be a driver. Like, what's your ideal dream? Like, what would you like to be doing? And then you come up with questions. You come up with, how many hours would you like to work a week? Are there types of times? Like, do you have a car, a vehicle? What kind? What do you do? So you're trying to find out about that person. So are they just going to drop you off at the website or at the site? Are they going to work? Are they interested in doing some work or some handyman? It's like a dance. It's like an energy, a flow. You want to get into their flow. So again, this primary is, this first podcast is helping us to figure out how do we not botch up the lead? Like, how do we leave a good impression? How do we get some basic questions? We're going to have level 1 questions that are 3 minutes long. Then we're going to have level 2 questions, 7 minutes long. And then you're going to have level 3 questions, which are 16 minutes long, which is 30-minute total conversation you're going to have with them. Once you have that, you're going to know more about them than they know about themselves. And so, does that give you guys enough, Kenny and Luke? Does that give you guys at least enough to start with?
I think so, yeah. How would you address it if they would ask about pay?
Yeah. There's really a range depending on kind of what the person does and that kind of type of thing. So, like, what would you say? And you notice I stutter. I might know exactly what I'm going to say, but I'm going to stutter some to go ahead and give it a genuine feel. So I might say, so I'm like curious, like what would be over the next 12 months? Like you're looking, what's your primary, especially for this kind of a job, what's your primary motivation for getting this position, for looking for this? So they might not want any money. They're just wanting to hang out with somebody. So that's going to make a difference. And so at some point you can say, over the next 12 months, what would be your wow income goal? What would be something that would be like a really exciting number for you? And they'll tell you, and you say, okay, great, write that down. And then you say, so like if you had your dream job, you could, everything matched, like it was the right people, it's the right situation, the right environment, all of that. If you had all of that, if that was dream, like what would be the minimum income goal that you'd be looking for? So you're looking at WOW, and then you're looking at the minimum income goal, what they need to have to feel like they're going to work. And now, is that something that's required? You know, is that something that they have to survive? Maybe it is. Or is it something, you know, or is it something that, you know, or is it something that they don't need? They don't have to have, they just want to have. So do you need to have it to pay the bills? Or do you, like, I have to make this money because I have to have? Or is it something, you know, I'm going to get paid what I'm worth. I don't really need the money, but, you know, I'm going to get paid what it, there's a difference. If somebody has to have something to survive, they have to have it. If somebody just wants it, you get, you know, I had, you know, computer programmers working with me for 9 months full time, 50, 60 hours a week, and it's a non-paid internship. So you can give, if you give people so much value, if you give people so much value, they'll work for less because it's not just about the money, but they have to make whatever they have to make. Make
makes
sense?
Yep.
Anything else you guys have that you want to cover on this?
No, I don't.
Can't really think of anything.
All right, well, write down as you get into it, as you move the ball down the field, you're going to have additional things. So we need to get a spreadsheet, need to get it into the podcast. You know, so here's level 1 questions, here's level 2, here's level 3. You know, there might be level 4 questions. And how do you go ahead and get this? How do you put them in a group? So you're not just recruiting for this position, you're recruiting for life. You're recruiting for another, like the person you're talking to might not go ahead and work with us now, but they might work with us in 10 or 20 years. And that's okay. Like when I go in, I'm not looking to recruit somebody. I'm looking to change somebody's life and to develop a relationship for life. This is why I'm so effective. This is, you know, so Tony Davis, when I graduated from college, I was right out of, you know, college, and you know, I took a position and moved from straight commission sales to a regional manager, marketing manager, and then VP of sales. And he traveled all around the world, worked for Caterpillar, and he said, Mark, bar none, you are the best recruiter I've seen anywhere in the world. And I didn't know at the time why. You know, I'm like, I don't know, what's my secret sauce? Why am I? But I think it's because I care so much about people. Like sales, getting somebody to work with us is that's the ultimate sale, right? I mean, it's like they're going to spend more time working than they will with their family. So I'm going to go ahead and want that person. Like even if they choose another job, I'm going to go ahead and I want to continue to impact them. So we put everybody into a group, and we go ahead and touch them, I don't know, once a month, every couple. So we want to get them out to coffee connection. See, even if they're not going to work for us, we want to bring a value for the rest of their life. That's what we want to do. And then they're going to know other people. So this person, we treat them well. We show them that we care. You know, we see them as a human being and the value and how amazing they are. They're going to have other people that they're going to know. So that we're not just recruiting this person, we're recruiting their entire family, their entire network. There's so many opportunities, and companies don't recruit like this because they think it's too expensive. It's actually not. It's too time consuming. It's not. You recruit like this and you have the systems and the technology and the tools. You get EVAs and VAs to follow up on people. I mean, it's amazing at what this thing will do. So if you have any questions, connect with the individual who invited you. Definitely talk to your mentor about this, your art mentor and your 2 art buddies. Recruiting, we're all in recruiting. We're all in sales. We just are. Or you can call toll free 888-230-2300 outside the US 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.